What's up, everybody? It's BiggerStepDad here, and I recently had the privilege to interview the owner and admins of TrappedMC.com, the only non-pay-to-win classic prison server left. We had some great questions from the community, as well as I wrote some questions myself. And without further ado, here we go. Dash, Acrid, and Quag for our little interview session. Guys, welcome in. It is so nice to be able to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yes, absolutely. And we got some fun questions here, just some silly things. And also we're going to take some questions from the chat. So make sure everybody here, make sure y'all think of some questions. But we're going to kind of get started here. And again, kind of introduce yourselves, guys, and kind of tell us what you want to tell to everybody.
I'll hand it over to the team first to start with. I think everyone knows Dash and Acrid, longtime players, and now admins, really kind of instrumental to running the server day to day and kind of working creatively with me and the rest of the team on Vision. But I'll let each of them kind of give a spiel if they want. Don't all jump up at once.
Yeah, don't jump at once.
If you want to go ahead.
I go. All right. So when I first started playing Trapped, it was pretty small. It was like, I don't know how many people at the time. It was like 30 to 40, but I didn't see that many people like answering questions in chat, stuff like that. That's kind of how I started. I just was answering people because I loved the server at the time. So I was just trying to help out when I could. And that's how when Quag like messaged me, yo, you want to be helper? And from there, I just kind of started helping more and more and really enjoyed the server.
I'm trying to think if we like played together, because I just also for some background, I actually did not start on Trapped as like involved in the server at all. I joined as a player in season 1 about I think a week or two after the server had started, and I was a bit of a goblin. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I kind of ran courtyard a little bit, not at first for sure. I kind of got my put in my spot a couple times, but
right, yeah. You made a name for yourself.
Eventually, I did kind of run courtyard with another very notorious, not so great player. But I think Acrid joined at the tail end of season 1, right? So
yeah, I did. You blessed me up with your pick when you weren't playing.
That is true. I was kind of generous. Oh, dude, I remember you were in my prestige cell. Okay, it's all coming back to me now a little bit. I think I put your like head and like deep, like Acrid skin is like kind of a gremlin skin. So I think I killed him once. I had his head and I put it deep in the back of my cell, kind of like covered in shadows, like a little gremlin corner. So I think that was how we met. And yes, I became involved with staff actually as like someone who maintained the first Trapped like wiki, which is way more detailed actually than the one that we currently have, ironically. But this is kind of what I was really doing with the bulk of my time. And then I kind of became more involved with the staff team. Dash didn't join until start of
season 3, yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of had the same start as you. I was a big goblin, warned a lot by staff. I was a camper as well before you moved PvP from crates, which is unfortunate.
You think it's unfortunate?
Yeah, big back PvP at crates. Yeah, and then I worked with mainly Quag and Ade on the champion update. I want to say around March, April, season 3, yeah, like last year. And ever since then, basically just been working on updates, again, running the server with Quag and the rest of the team.
Awesome. Well, that's great. I think that's what makes it so good is y'all kind of met each other already through playing, and that's pretty awesome. So we kind of touched on that about how you kind of got involved, Quag, with becoming a part of the staff and the team, but what kind of led to you taking over as the owner? Is it a hand, kind of how'd that work out? What made you want to do it?
I was actually I had run servers probably for the better part of the last 15 years. And so it's something I've a good amount of experience with. When I joined Trapped, I was pretty resolute on not becoming involved, just because I know how I tend to kind of get sucked into these things and like spend a lot of my time on them, and I kind of just wanted to enjoy it. So that's where I started out, and that's kind of why I was like a bit extra of a goblin, just because I like felt that by being like a little bit extra, I would distance myself from being close to the staff team. But
Yeah.
ultimately, I really just started buying into the vision, which was like really solid community, clean concept, nostalgic, and non-pay to win. And those things kind of being central pillars of the server and the vision, I think really drew me in ultimately. And that's why I became Wiki. I offered, the founder Cletus at the time, I was like, hey, let me make, a website and kind of like document some of the features, just because, as you know, the server's super complex. And I think actually we have a long way to go with like documenting things. It was really crazy though. Like I documented all like the exact drop rates for like GPUs and all like 100 enchants, each level documented like what each of them did and all the different settings. I think the reality with that is, just as a bit of a tangent, like we would get tickets as someone who's on the staff team now. We used to get tickets. We're like, well, actually, I ran the math, and there's no way this is correct. So that's what we stopped releasing rates, just because it's a lot to update as we kind of tweak things throughout the season, and two, it kind of I don't know. I feel like you lose some of the magic a little. Like, yes, it's great for min-maxers to release rates, but I think you also kind of lose some of the magic a little bit. But anyways, going back to how I became involved with Trapped. So yeah, in season 2, I became a moderator, and kind of I had worked on a bunch of features, including redoing all the fishing, all the bosses, doing the server shop, like kind of way more than what a typical moderator would do. Obviously, I have like a pretty good background. I've been programming, writing code, working on Minecraft servers for about 15 years. So I was able to kind of jump in and just be helpful in that regard. Throughout the rest of the season, I just kept working on more and more interesting features. I don't know, Accurate, if you remember like what some interesting releases we had in season 2 were kind of mid-season. I'm trying to think back. I don't know what was like super significant, but there was a bunch of stuff. And ultimately, Cletus, offered me a co-ownership of the server, just given how much I was working on it with him. And so I accepted that, became way more involved than I really wanted to. But like I said, the community is so great, it's kind of hard to turn your back on that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Season 3 came around. We went crazy on a bunch of things. I wound up doing a lot more coding than I had done previously. Started working with Gabby, who's an amazing developer, and kind of gave us a bit of a platform to redo the entire custom enchant system, which took a ton of time. And so we worked on that together. I had worked on basically converting all of our like existing enchants into Gabby's enchant system, which took a ton of time. And that was the start of season 3. And season 3 was really transformative just across the board. I think it involved us redoing every single like major system on the server, and going from like things and plugins that anyone could buy on the internet to things that were special for Trapped. I think that's also really what makes Trapped special, is that all the systems that we have all work together. They talk to each other. Like the gameplay is just super integrated in that respect. And so that's something that just really comes with time.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a big transformative thing throughout the season, throughout season 3. So that kind of culminated with me redoing like most of the plugins to have that work with the champion update, which was a ton of work, and Dash was super helpful and involved with that. And I think that ultimately culminated with Cletus and I sitting down and kind of just discussing the long-term vision of the server, and kind of what we could do to give him a creative outlet. And I think ultimately that was just him kind of spinning off and doing his own project. So Cletus and I have a strong relationship. We're on good terms and everything. But I think that he doesn't program. He's a super brilliant creative mind. I think very highly of his vision, and I still buy into it and try to honor it every day. running the server now. But I think, you know, he needs a creative outlet, and when you have a server that's like at the scale that requires everything to be custom coded, it's kind of hard to contribute creatively if you don't know how to code.
Right.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know, I think that outlet was just getting a little bit tougher for him to find over time. And you know, we're super supportive of his new project, and hoping to see that succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's awesome. That's a heck of a story, from just joining a random server to now, you know, owning it. And that kind of, you kind of touched about my my next question that I had, was what got you into, you know, server design and development. You kind of said you've been messing with it and doing it for about 15 years, and you know, do you treat it as a full-time job, or is this still kind of a hobby for you?
Yeah, so I have reached Unk status for sure. I first played Minecraft back in 2010 to 2011, and one of the first things I did was to make a SMP, you know, server for my friends, and that was through, like, if anyone knows in the call or not, or in on the stream actually, like what Hamachi is. That's kind of what I started with. If you know that, I would be very impressed. I'll give you a key. And so
Not
all my
off
friends,
top of
I
my
had to
head.
install Hamachi to join our SMP, and that's kind of how it all started. And I ran a server back then. I'm not going to say the name because it'll dox me, but it kind of grew and became like a public server that I would host on my like 2008 MacBook, like one of those first white MacBooks, really
Oh
old.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So I would simultaneously host the server and play on the server on that machine, which was horrible. And
Gosh.
the server would only be online when I was online. So
Right.
that was a little bit scuffed. We eventually rented a server for like $20 a month. I had to beg my parents to, you know, let me use their credit card and give them like $20.
Right.
And so that's kind of where it went from there. And then over time, I became more involved with, you know, some more serious servers. I met some amazing mentors who have completely changed my life, taught me coding, and set my life on a completely different trajectory. I'm very grateful for them. Some of them I actually still keep in touch with. Ultimately, I wound up running a large network in like the 2013, 2014 timeframe, and that was actually much larger than Trapped, if you can imagine. Back then, it was, you could put like your server on Minecraft forums and you get like 60 people online easy. It's just a very different reality today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then in like 2014, 2015, I'm not going to give exact ranges. I was finishing high school, went to college, and that's kind of when the whole like big initial EULA push came out with Microsoft and servers, and they were really harsh at first on kind of that first pass of implementing the EULA. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go to college, enjoy school, and not worry about running servers and dealing with Microsoft trying to shut my server down. So that's kind of where I stopped. Through COVID, I brought that server back, just the factions game mode, which was rough. Faction players are probably the only like more toxic group than prison players, which is quite a statement. But way too hard to run a faction server. Like, there's just not enough people who really have appetite for that, and it just wound up being a bit scuffed. So that's kind of what has led me to present day, more or less.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's awesome. I think you made the right call with the prison server. I think it's, you know, it has the longest runtime, I think you could say, in my opinion. And, you know, that kind of going into the server, what would you say is your personal favorite feature of the server?
That's a tough one
that you have added. I know, I'm sure there's a ton of them, but which one are you the most proud of?
So the most proud one is probably the most boring one, so I'll skip that one.
Okay.
And the second one is probably the RNG meter. That was one that kind of came, and chambers. I'll probably group those two together because they do work together. I remember playing season 1 and how scuffed it was in terms of, I've gone 2 weeks and I haven't gotten like a single like rare drop or something interesting, and it just is super demotivating. And so having a system that actually kind of in a somewhat provable way helps you progress through the game, knowing that you're making progress against getting something really great, I think has been pretty transformative for people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I know that if I was still playing, that would be something I would very much appreciate. And I think
Yeah.
that's where a lot of like the greatest features on the server come from. And originally it came from me being a player and having like these pain points, but having that empathy to say like, hey, this is something that clearly is not right, clearly is detracting from the gameplay and from the community. Let's fix that.
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of our greatest stuff has come from. Now that I don't play anymore, that has to come from the team. And I think we have a really amazing team who still plays and is very involved and gives great input on that type of stuff for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got one last one, and then we'll move in. Just there's a lot of great questions coming in the chat that I kind of want to make sure we touch on. And that is, what do you think? And you might have already touched on it, but the key to running the community such as you have, such a successful community, and long-standing, I know you kind of inherited it, but to keep it going after that changeover and even through the new seasons too, when the server's down for weeks at a time, what do you think the key is to keeping that community engaged and keeping it like this?
Yeah, so I think what it all ultimately boils down to is actually still the community itself, and there are kind of some parts to this. So one is that everyone on the staff team either, for the most part, still plays,
Right.
or at one point was a significant player on the server. So everyone understands really well, like kind of tying it back to even the features that we work on. What are the things that the community looks for? Where are the gaps? And how do we engage with the community in a way that would be delightful for us if we were still playing as players? And I think that's a huge component of it. I think the community is what the server is all about. I think that's what makes it special. I think the technology is great and it's unique, but at the end of the day, without people like you and like all the other players on the staff team, it's just ones and zeros. It's just lines of code.
Yeah.
And like that's great for my portfolio as a developer, and that's probably all it's good for. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I think for me, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I had a feeling, you were gonna say it's the people that, you just gotta, and I think a little bit of luck comes down to it, but it's also you chose a great group of staff, and then also just a great community of people all around here.
Yeah, and I think that's why we take community feedback so seriously, and we constantly are prompting for it and asking for it. And also what a lot of players don't see is we do like feedback kind of focus groups all the time. We're doing one now actually with like a group of players. Anytime we're working on new features, different features, trying to get feedback on like the launch, we launch, and again, credit to the team here on this one, Aude -D, they kind of run these feedback sessions and really get great input from the community. This way we can make the server the best it can be. And we're not going to always get things right. Obviously, we're human. We try to make informed decisions and, do polls when we can on like really big things where we don't really know what direction to go in.
Right.
But, I think, again, it really just boils down to the community, and that's what makes it special. I've run a lot of servers, like I was talking about for the last, decade plus. I've never seen a community like Trapped, nothing even close to it.
Yeah.
And I'm just very grateful every day that I get to work on something with a great team that brings so many different people from so many different walks of life together through a common shared experience of joy. And I think, it's a bit sappy and it's a bit cheesy, but like the reality is a lot of people who like work on the server, myself included, our jobs are like pretty boring. I write enterprise code day to day. I run a team of engineers where we like work on like enterprise systems. It's fascinating. It's thrilling.
Yeah. Sounds
but
exciting. Yeah.
When I get to work on Trapped, one, it's something that, I own and I get to work on, which is exciting for me. But also, its sole goal in life is to make people happy and to bring people together and to have fun. Like, I can't think of like a better thing to work on than that.
Yeah, and I think you guys have accomplished that, and I'm sure y'all will continue to accomplish that because, yep, it's a great server. I mean, you know, I'm the new face around here. We're on week 4, like just started week 4. I think it's still week 3, technically, and I mean, it's awesome. So y'all definitely did a great job with it. Well, we'll move into looking into chat for some good questions here. Scott has one for Dashty, kind of about the philosophy for Champ. What was the easiest and hardest implementation, and what is your favorite implementation?
So definitely the easiest was the build. We put out a straightforward plan, and basically what we got back from the professional build team was exactly what we wanted. So that's by far probably the easiest. The hardest to this day, I feel like this is still a struggle for me, is the enchants. You know, there's that needs a lot of feedback and focus grouping, hopefully in the future, which me and Ade can work on. My favorite has to probably be my favorite feature. This is a tough one. Probably Impulse. Again, another enchant, but it's probably one of my favorite features of Champ. It took us the longest. I want to say it was worked on for a month and a half, something like that.
Wow.
2 months.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so to give some context on what Impulse is, it's effectively like a game within a game, which is why it took so much time. There are basically, as you mine, you'll get a little counter, and that counter will start going up, and it gets harder to push that number up over time. So you have to get a pretty good streak going. And every time you hit like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, you get some kind of random reward. That could be like a different type of chamber. It could be, you know, you start getting token pouches. It could be like haste 4 starts giving you. And so that whole thing just took a ton of time, took a ton of creativity with all the different, you know, things that you can unlock. It could boost like GPU performance. It could give you more GPU RNG chance. Like, it's just kind of like a crazy thing. I agree, by the way, with that answer. It's the most fun one, but also for me the most infuriating to work on.
Yeah. We didn't want to work on any enchants for like the next 6 months. It was bad.
I can imagine. I can only imagine. So we got here, we got one from Daddy Fat Sack. Golly, I can't get over that. This is kind of a question, honestly. How hard would it be to add the ability to track RNG status and maybe add it to a scoreboard variant? Is that something that would be possible?
I think, listen, ultimately everything is possible. I think this is a good segue to talk about suggestions.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I think that like we were mentioning, we're super receptive and open to community feedback and suggestions. And like I mentioned, we're not always going to get things right. This is more of a feature suggestion, which is great. I would say there's an upper limit to this, so don't go crazy. But the more feedback or detail you can give us in your suggestion, the more you'll get out of us. If you spend like 5 seconds writing a suggestion saying like you want this thing changed, unless it's super trivial and obvious to us and you get a ton of support, like it's probably not going to happen. But if you spend like a good amount of time and you put some thought into like what you're asking for, that's definitely something that we could look into and give you an answer on, both in terms of like technical feasibility, how it would change gameplay dynamics, and any other kind of constraints or information that we can provide to you. We're always happy to spend the time to go into detail on those things, but just do us the favor of also like putting a little bit of effort in on your side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Unit 1 says, if possible, can you provide, maybe all of you, provide kind of an update on the direction and maybe a roadmap for Season 5, if there is one ready to be talked about?
So I think in terms of roadmap, we have to be careful about this.
Right.
We don't always know with certainty what is coming next. And a lot of times things change and we don't want people to be disappointed. I think the feature that we're bringing out in the next couple of weeks was something that we we're actually road mapping either in season 2 or season 3, and was, I think, the most like upvoted thing by the community actually at that time as well. And I think we got to a point with the season where it just became way too hard to balance, and we were like, I don't think we could do this anymore. So I just want to be careful about, I'm never the type to over promise and under deliver. I'd always rather under promise and over deliver. So that's not to say that people shouldn't have some transparency and like insight to what we're working on. And I think that we need to do better in that regard. It's hard a little bit, but I think we need to be more diligent with some like the change logs and things of that nature. But ultimately, yes, I would like to release some of the higher level things we're working on. I also want to be careful not to like kind of tip the scales in terms of, hey, if we announce that we're going to be doing this thing and suddenly we change the market on these 3 items, like I think that kind of defeats the purpose of some of these updates a little bit.
Yeah, I think sometimes having the update, it's fun to look forward to something, but at the same time, it really can be fun when it drops on you on like, out of nowhere. And then, you don't have any time preparing. It's just, you can do it now. That's a fun thing. So yeah, absolutely. I got another question here from Loom. It says, for the admins, do they help with coding and programming the server as well? And if so, is that something they do? Do they code and program for a livelihood, or is it more of a hobby?
I could probably take this one, and feel free to jump in, guys. But the only people who write code with the server are me and Gavi.
Okay.
As far as what the team works on creatively, I would say it's either, like product planning. So, hey, we're going to write out a whole document and plan for like what this new feature is going to be and like what all the different items are and what the different variants of those items are. They tend to work on things like that. There are also people on the team who work on configurations, right? So there's kind of 2 sides to actually releasing a feature onto the server. There's the code side, which Gavi or I will implement, and then there's the configuration side. So I do a good amount of config, but from time to time, Dash or Acrid or Pred also work on configuration as well.
Okay, awesome. Let's see any other chats coming in. Scott, that might be Acrid, your favorite moderator. We'll leave that for y'all to discuss in your DMs.
That's a goblin, bro.
NBT, I'm sure the staff smell great.
He gets a bad rap, but he's just a little guy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
He's a little guy.
He's just a little guy.
Just a little guy. All right, Mentality says, and we kind of discussed this, but do you foresee, and not anytime soon, but do you see Trapped expanding to other game modes other than prison?
We've thought about this in the past. I think the reality is that we have a great core system of features. I think those could probably work great on a lot of different servers, but the reality is also that our hands are so full just with running Trap that I don't think we would want to split our attention or time.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And then Mentality as, let's see. Let's hit Tommy hasn't done another one. Can you ask each of them to give you their best course? They will know what it means.
We could do that off stream.
Yeah, there you go. Got it off stream.
Nice try.
Yep. Gamer Dan says, what do y'all think of the players and their feedback? And I think we kind of touched on that with the focus groups and everything. Just how everybody always is very positive and helpful, it seems like. Let's see. Mentality Trap actively seeking additional YouTubers or streaming partners.
Yes.
They are.
The answer is always yes. We're very grateful to have Stepdad in the community and engaging with you guys, and it's been super fun. So always looking for more stuff like that, and also looking to work on some, Stepdad's helping us out also with some short form content we're testing out. these things take time to get right. I think advertising a Minecraft server is super challenging, even with the level of success that Trapped has. I think if you take a look around, there are over 100,000 Minecraft servers out there, and getting your server in front of the right people, especially with how niche Trapped is such a challenging problem. Reddit has been great for us, which is why we continue to lean on that. I think that's like, if you ask players how they found Trapped, I think like at least half of them will say Reddit. So that's something we'll continue to cook on, and that's why we really appreciate all the support we get on those posts. But yes, it is something we're working on for sure.
Yeah, I uploaded a TikTok of Trapped, and this just shows you how difficult it is to find the right player, kind of niche. Somebody just commented back, "Holy unemployment," with 2 broken hearts. So that kind of, I clearly haven't found the right audience yet, but we're still working on that.
Yeah.
So we're going to do last one from the chat with Tommy. He says, can you ask Quag to talk about Folia a little bit for the people who don't realize how insane it is and how much work went into it?
So this could very easily devolve into a very nerdy hour-long talk. I will spare everyone that pain. Ultimately, what it comes down to is that historically Minecraft servers run on one thread on your computer. Basically, imagine every single thing that's happening on the server all at once having to like go through the same spot on a CPU. That gets kind of tricky when you have hundreds of people online. Folia runs on multiple threads, so that allows the server to scale in a much nicer way. And to utilize Folia, though, every single plugin that's on the server, and we have over 100 that are all custom to the server. So a plugin could be things like the RNG meter or fishing or crypto. Those are all plugins. Each of those has to be customized and like effectively rewritten to run on Folia, which takes a ton of time. So that was the bulk of the time that we spent going from season 3 to season 4. And the first couple months of development was figuring out how to convert all of our plugins, which just took a ton of time. And like I said, required us updating every single plugin on the server, which was something that had never been done up until that point. So big investment, but I think hopefully everyone's enjoying a less laggy and higher player count server.
Yeah, I haven't had any lag at all on here, and if I did, it was from my computer. So y'all did it right. It was great. All right, we'll move into these speed run questions real quick that I got earlier in the day. Only a few. So we're gonna start off from Lost Panther. He wants to know how big that chin is.
I have some unfortunate news to break to the community. I don't actually look like Glenn Quagmire in real life. I know
you gotta be careful saying that.
Many of you will probably quit because of this. I apologize. So the chin is not.
That's
not large.
Yeah, I've seen him before.
He's hiding it. He has
it. He's wearing a hoodie. Don't worry, guys.
It's hidden. Yeah, nothing a little plastic surgery can't fix. We'll get him looking like him soon enough here, guys. Vivier wants to ask everybody, do you guys like raccoons?
No comment.
No comment. Wow. No comment on the raccoons, guys. Sorry.
Only hamsters. Only hamsters.
Only hamsters.
That is true.
Akin and this won't be a real quick one, but they were wondering, is there going to be a way to get more personal vaults in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think we obviously built out a full set of PVs, and we're trying to figure out the best way to get those to folks. So that'll come with time.
Awesome. Lost Panther says, what is the 0 to 60 on that BMW?
Last I checked, it was 3-1.
3-1. Oh my God. And Tommy's got 2 questions here. Favorite flavor of ice cream, guys?
Let's see. I don't know. Cookies and cream. I'm boring.
I like chocolate.
I like cookies and cream. That's a good one.
Dark chocolate, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And he also asked how high you can jump.
Legally, I cannot answer that question.
Yeah, it's higher than you think. That's the definitely. Answer there. Higher than you think. And then lastly, by Noel segment, your favorite programming language?
That's a tough one. It's as much. I don't know. If I said this at work, people would like crush my skull. But I really do like Java, which is what Minecraft's in. I'm an old school programmer, and so I do enjoy some object-oriented programming. for those of you who know what that is.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, those are it. I think we're gonna wrap it up. Anything else? It might be something we have to do again in the future, guys. Once we we got another question real quick coming in from Scott and Arsenal. Acrid, your dream McDonald's order.
You have to answer this one, by the way. You have to answer this
I
one.
can't leak it. I can't leak it.
You gotta leak
Can't leak it. It'll dox him. Yeah, we can't do that. He's the only one to ever order that, so we can't do
exactly.
that. Well, we'll get that in the DMs for you guys. We'll keep it off.
It's gonna be a long DM. Just
I think we'll hold off. I'll let them do the announcement on the new ranks, guys. The new rank. I don't think they're there yet. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do is release the new rank at the same time as the big update. So those two things will come together when they're ready.
Perfect. So we'll get more about that soon, and as soon as we know, I'm sure it'll be out there. So, but guys, I appreciate y'all doing this with me. I think we should do something like this again, and I think everybody enjoyed that. So, thank y'all so much, and from behalf of the community, thank you for all the hard work you guys do on the server and giving us something we can binge our life away on. We really do appreciate it.
Well, play safely, play responsibly. I have to say that.
Yes.
But thank you for having us. This is great, and happy to do it again. We should definitely do this. When we release a new feature, we can kind of take you and the community through like all the new stuff that was added. So.
Yeah, I think they would love that. That's a great idea. So we'll talk more about that, but I'll talk to you guys soon. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.